You're entering the championship rounds. Luke Rockhold's performance on Saturday must have been inspired by the Game of Thrones as he slayed the dragon. Now is a House of Rockhold on march to the middleweight championship, or is there an alligator lying in the weeds? Plus, is Paige VanZant the UFC's backup plan if Ronda Rousey decides to pursue Hollywood full time? Also, what's his ceiling on Max Holloways' potential? This is 5-Round MMA. Hello there, my name is Alex Ramirez, alongside my co-host Guillermo Machida, Albert Cita. This is 5-Round MMA. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
I'm good. This is all I gotta say.
Albert, what did you rebuttal to that?
I got nothing to say. Dragon's been slayed, so he's nice and quiet.
So before we get started, how'd you guys this weekend? I want to, because we all did kind of three completely different things to show the people out there just how well-rounded this group is. Guillermo, where were you at this weekend?
I just got back from Las Vegas.
Las Vegas?
So I was at the Hakkasan checking out Hardwell.
Hardwell? So another DJ, right?
Yeah, DJ for EDM.
Oh, it's not the name of the club? I thought it was the name of the club.
No, the name of the club is Hakkasan.
Oh,
okay.
You go Hardwell or you go home.
That's an official hashtag. I like it. Albert, where were you at this weekend?
I was at the Star Wars celebration, celebrating Star Wars.
Okay.
Yeah, so far, two of the biggest things that are popular.
And so what'd you do, Alex?
I was actually at the LA Festival of Books on the campus of USC, so I kind of got the whole rounded in. Actually, one of my favorite booths here, they have the Horror Writers Association, where they have different kind of, just try to get inspired to the Horror Writing Association. And I found that this one awesome book called Bloody Knuckles. I got to talk to the author, Michael Paul Gonzalez, kind of a collection of MMA-inspired stories, kind of the truth behind reality, a little bit actually written by some fighters too. So hopefully in the near future we'll have Michael on here and some of the writers as well. So it should be kind of cool. It's like that. I just want to let people know what we do. It's not all MMA, but sometimes, no matter where you go, MMA kind of creeps up everywhere now, right?
Yeah. It comes to show you that we're all over the spectrum.
Yep.
You know? Pun intended.
Pun intended. So, even after what we did on Saturday, we were still able to catch UFC on Fox.
Oh, yes.
Machida versus Rockhold, UFC on Fox 15, UFC New Jersey. So just thoughts on the card as a whole. I think it was a pretty awesome card. I thought
it was one of the best cards in a very long time.
Yeah.
I watched every single fight that was on the Fox card. So I missed a couple of prelims fights, but overall, I thought the fights were amazing. So
Albert?
The fights were good. Was I excited about some of the outcomes? The outcomes. No, but yeah, I mean, there were. I'm gonna lie. From the prelims all the way up, I thought were really good cards. I didn't catch some of the Fight Pass ones because I don't have the Fight Pass.
Yeah, it's a Fight Pass.
But I heard there's a couple of good fights in there too.
Speaking of outcomes, I'm actually the opposite. I'm happy with the outcomes of each individual fight that came out.
Well, because
and I don't know if you want me to get a little bit more detail.
We're gonna go one by one, but like every fight, almost we touched this last week. Every fight kind of meant something. You said too, like every fight, this is kind of like a showcase of the next, almost like generation of fighters here. So real quick on the prelims, we'll start with OSP defeated Patrick Cummins.
Yes. So I was. Oh,
go ahead.
I really thought Patrick Cummins is starting to show that he deserved the shot against Daniel Cormier, even though he did lose, but OSP is up and coming. He has such knockout power.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be there for the light heavyweight championship or in the run to at least fight for the title.
Yeah, the time is now. He's only 32 years old now, so he's gonna go. He better go now. So, Albert, your thoughts on OSP? This kind of you kind of harped on a little bit. You got on his bandwagon a little earlier.
I very early on, I really wanted to hype this guy up because I saw that raw power in it. He does have loss against Ryan Bader, but that has more to do with his ground game than anything. Yeah. And obviously, he showed that he can somehow neutralize that ground game with his fist.
You kind of heard Joe Rogan talk about that he was struggling with the takedowns from Patrick Cummins. Yeah. But then, or that his defense is getting better. And then I forgot if it was Joe Rogan or Mike Goldberg said something that Joe Silva told OSP that if someone's gonna come and take you down, they should get punished. Meaning, a punch. Yeah. And that's exactly kind of what took place or unfolded. So I was kind of impressed by OSP on his take on the defense.
Yeah, like I said, I was hyped on this guy before. I think it was all the way down to I think it was actually his first UFC bout that I saw him come in. Which no, actually it was his second UFC fight against Cody Devon when I was like, wow, this guy has something in him. But I think as long as he can show that he can handle those wrestlers, I think at 205 he's gonna be a solid guy.
Yeah, I think it was one of the themes that out with the kind of younger fighters re-emerging. The last fight on the prelims was Benel Darouche won against Jim Miller, 25 years old, kind of showing Jim Miller the door. You think, guys? Like, kind of, okay, Jim Miller, thanks for showing up. I mean,
that one really surprised me. Not the fact that Jim Miller lost. I mean, in MMA anybody can lose.
Yeah.
But I was just shocked how good Benil was. I mean, I didn't believe the hype to say.
25 years old. I mean, only one career loss.
I'm pretty much the theme of this card was these young guys rising to the occasion. Well, that's what it seemed like as we go more into this card. But yeah, I forgot his name. Benicio or Benio. I was so impressed by his jiu-jitsu. Oh my goodness, it was like if you really like jiu-jitsu, Jim Miller was doing some good jiu-jitsu as well to avoid a lot of those rear naked chokeholds. Yeah. I thought, I was like, oh, he's gonna get a rear naked chokehold, and he lasted 2 rounds. With Benio having control of Jim Miller's back. So I was really impressed by him.
So you did say the young guys, but you also forgot one very important young woman on the card.
Yes.
Paige VanZant, 21 years old.
I said as the card went on, we were gonna be the theme.
I thought it was a street fight.
She
gave her a good old fashioned street fight.
Paige VanZant and Felice Herring kicked off the main card on Fox.
Yeah. There was times where she didn't have to do what she did.
Yeah.
I mean, she clearly already I see a lot of male fighters when they get that top position. They kind of like to write it out a little bit and maybe measure a good punch. Really look for the openings. She didn't care about no openings. She was there to lay it down.
The only thing is we did see a little bit of inexperience because she did get caught in a couple of potentially I saw a couple arm bars, a couple jiu-jitsu moves that would have got caught probably with a different fighter. So I just want to make sure that she did look amazing, but you did see a little of that inexperience. So I mean, she just needs to be careful in her later fight.
Yeah, I want to stay here for a little bit because she almost was like the star of the show. Almost, if it wasn't for Luke Rockhold's performance. People were talking about her. Twitter was blowing up during her fight.
It was like 30 seconds after her fight, and Uriah Faber was already like posting her up on Facebook and Instagram.
Dana White said he had more people wanting to meet her than anybody else. Even before the fight, Felice Herring said she's all hype. She's just another pretty girl that the UFC wants to push. But if she's backing it up, could she be the next star of this division? The brand new division, the strawweight division.
I think so. If we have Ronda Rousey, now we have Paige, and I'm dead serious. She's gonna be a poster child for UFC. This is money. Like Dana White sees the money signs all over this.
So, but now is a big question: do you push her there, or you let her develop? Because she's only 21. She's what, 5-1, only 6 career fights. Do you give it to her now, maybe one more fight and then title shot, or do you?
Okay, she already has the push. She has the Reebok deal. Which UFC just signed that deal. And she got a really good experience fight. So I mean, I think the push is already there. So I think you throw it to the wolves.
I think it's more tricky than that because if we look at the history, which is the flyweight division when it was fairly new, I think they kind of released all the wolves, and now we're left with one alpha and no other wolves allowed in there. And I think the story's there because she's a pretty girl, and then the current strawweight champion is rough and tough. She's from another country.
Joanna Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, that was my point too. I want to talk to you about that.
Classic, American Beauty, and then you got this Russian. I mean, I don't think she's Russian.
She's Polish.
Right? She's Polish, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say. The storyline's there, but do you want to do that one right off the bat, or do you kind of want to build it for that money?
People forget what UFC 185. Joanna stole the show. Remember, she was the one, the new champion. People loved her. They love her style. And now it's kind of like, hello, she's a champion, not Paige VanZant. Paige VanZant not even named a contender yet. But I mean, do you kind of like that, Joanna? I'm pretty sure Joanna's a little like maybe okay. I see you, Paige. I see everybody else. Ignore me. I'm the champion here.
I think so a little bit, but I still think we're about 1 or 2 fights away from Paige even being mentioned for a title fight. So I mean,
so you're more of like let the UFC just let her develop a little bit, right?
No, I just think that's the what was it already in the books.
Yeah,
I feel like they were waiting for it to see how Paige was gonna do, and I still think she's like maybe a fight away before you could really justify or get all these fans. Now we kind of like, hey, she's here.
Yeah.
And now we just need one more to, kind of solidify that. and then I'm pretty sure we'll see the title fight.
And there is, I mean, you got the Tecia Torres' division, the Jessica Penes, and of course the Carla Esparza's. Those are three, I think, pretty sure 3 women she have to get through to at least be considered for a title shot, right?
I think the next fight I see in my head, I don't think they should do the title shot right away, but maybe Rose gets into this mix.
That would be scrap Rose Namajunas and Paige VanZant.
And I think you can do either way. You know, like you said, you can go with Paige.
You got the Thug versus 12 gauge. Come on, I love it.
Or you can go straight to the
Joe Silva. You paying attention to that one? If that fight happens, credit Albert Cena and FiveRoundMMA right there.
But I'm just saying that's where you mix it up, and I think that will really make it exciting.
Yeah.
And then you can figure out.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So let's go to Max Holloway. If you guys listened to last week's show, Guillermo and Albert were completely just this guy's a feature here, and I think not surprising to some. A lot of the experts like Brian Stan said this is the guy, this is what we have, and I think it was fun to watch. Guillermo just to assess Max Holloway's performance on UFC.
I thought it was amazing. I thought he came out saying, you know, I deserve to be here. I felt like the theme of the whole card was these experienced guys fighting these up and coming rising stars, and I felt like Cub Swanson just didn't give him or wasn't giving him enough credit, and he came a little bit. To me, it felt cocky. Yeah, and I think that played perfect to Max Holloway, where he was just, you know, it was like one. What I mean, he dominated the whole fight pretty much.
So it was really Max rising to the occasion, and Cub didn't, right, Albert?
Yeah, that's exactly how I would say. And like we said last week, this was actually a rare fight where like both fighters had everything to gain and everything to lose.
Yeah, I think Cub Swanson.
And I really do think Cub Swanson took a big chunk here. I mean, he's coming off a loss against Frankie Edgar, and that was a big hit, but I think people could kind of brush it off because, you know, Frankie Edgar is tending to consider one of the still considered one of the pound for pound best. And, you know, I'm just saying that one could have probably been swept under the rug, that loss. But this one, I think he gets put way back down to the bottom.
It is a change.
And Max Holloway just cracked the top 3. I mean, I think he's in the mix with maybe fighting Ricardo Lamas next.
Oh wow!
So,
and then, the other thing I wanted to say is I don't know, maybe there was something wrong with Cub Swanson because he did look really slow.
Maybe like he's a tough dude. He's not gonna, you know, make any excuses at all. So I mean, if he offers, Cub Swanson is a measuring stick for the top 10, top 5 in the featherweight division. If you could beat the guy, then you belong in the division. Yeah. If not, then. But I mean, then again, do you really want to be the measuring stick? I mean, you want to be the champion. You want to be the top of the top. You want to be the guy. You don't want to be the guy before the guy before the guy. You know what I mean?
Well, you said Ricardo Lamas. Let me throw a bone for you. If Joe Silva, Chad Mendes versus Max Holloway.
I like that one.
I don't like that one.
Just for Max Holloway's sake or what?
When it comes to these,
you have Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo.
I agree, but I think when it comes to these unique matchups, you should really wait for them, and that's when I think you should wait.
Yeah, and speaking of
I want to see it.
Speaking of Conor McGregor, Max Holloway was the only guy not to be finished by Conor McGregor too, right? So I mean,
but to his defense, I mean,
to Conor McGregor's defense.
To Conor McGregor's defense, that's the one where Conor McGregor blew out his knee, and after that, he got that whole long year layoff.
Hey, you guys, Albert does have a man bun like Conor McGregor, so hence the Conor McGregor defense.
There's no connection, all right? It just so happens I have it. He had it.
Oh, yeah. Who wore it better, right? So co-main event time. Was it the Peter Pan TikTok? Oh, it's crocodile, right? But alligator. Anyways, it's a crocodile. Excuse that reference, but the alligator proved Jacare that he could chew up and swallow lesser opponents' fish.
He showed why you should stay away from the water.
Exactly. I think he finished Chris Camozzi, I think, in quicker time than it was the first fight. Yeah. All props to Chris Camozzi for taking the fight, his opportunity. But what really hurts Jacare here is that he beat Chris Camozzi up the second time. Even though he showed how dominant he was, he's not really in the title talks because it was a last-minute replacement fighter. Guillermo, do you agree with that assessment?
I do not agree. This is what grinds my gears. Why have a ranking system if you're not going to use it? It's not Jacare's fault that Yoel Romero got hurt. So what is the guy supposed to do? Not take? I give him more credit. He took a fight on a week notice. Yeah. To, you know, obviously a guy he already faced, so it made, you know, I already planned for this guy before. It made the most sense. So why are you gonna fault the guy for someone else getting hurt? So I mean, that's why you have a ranking system to back that up. Hey, this guy's a #1 ranked middleweight, and yet we're gonna give title shots to these guys that are below him. It doesn't make sense to me.
But in all fair, he did call out Michael Bisping.
Yeah.
But didn't want to say no.
Michael Bisping.
He said no because they didn't want to take any more from the UFC 186 card because that's already depleted enough already. But Albert, is it fair that Jacare takes a hit here for losing his opponent?
Yes and no. And he did what he was supposed to do.
Exactly.
No, but let me tell you this. That fight was more to keep Jacare relevant. I wouldn't say relevant, but just to kind of keep him in the media circuit.
He was supposed to fight your boy Yoel Romero.
Yeah.
That
had he beat Yoel Romero,
he would have got the title shot.
Yeah,
I believe, and I would have been.
It's not his fault that Yoel Romero, not Jacare. Yoel Romero got hurt. But remember that. If Yoel Romero got hurt, not Jacare.
It's not Luke Rockhold's fault that he had an opponent and Luke Rockhold did. Wow. So at the same time, it can go either way, and that's what I'm telling you. It sucks for Jacare, but at least he stays relevant as far as like people still talk about him. People are still gonna keep remembering him, and he stays active. I think the worst thing that can happen to a fighter is inactiveness, unless you're Conor McGregor. Then that helps you 100%.
Well, and also he's also on the same parallel line as Luke Rockhold, so they could maybe have him on the same card again once in a while, or maybe if Luke Rockhold does challenge anytime soon, maybe have Jacare on the same card, because that the UFC kind of does that. They kind of keep guys on the parallel lines a little bit, a month apart, week apart, that way, and it happens they could fill in or they line up perfectly. So maybe it's there for Jacare. I mean, I personally am a Jacare fan. I think
I love the alligator.
Yeah, I think he probably deserves it more. It's a fresher face, especially if Vitor Belfort wins the title. Then I mean, like, sure you could probably sell Rockhold versus Belfort.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You also have to everyone keeps assuming that Chris Weidman's gonna win.
Yeah. If
Chris Weidman wins, I don't see why Luke wouldn't get it. But if Vitor wins, I see all the reason why Jacare should get it.
No.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
But then again, Vitor was on HGH when he fought Luke Rockhold.
Or was it TRT?
Man.
TRT, sorry.
Or which one?
Sorry.
Or was it both?
We don't know.
Good segue.
Allegedly.
Because that just shows you how of a freak of a man Vitor was to do that to Luke Rockhold, and then now we really see who Luke Rockhold is.
Yeah, I know. I texted you guys this during the fight. I had no idea how massive of a middleweight Luke Rockhold was. When he was on top of Machida, I couldn't even see Machida. He completely smothered. I was like, is Machida under there or not? He's huge, man. Yeah. And he just completely overpowered, and just uses sheer strength to get the best of Machida. He made Machida look like he did, like Chris Camozzi did to Jacare. That's what Machida was to Rockhold. So I think, Albert, before we start this part, don't you owe somebody an apology?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Jason Hendricks out there. You're the man. Big props. What can I say? He's the man. Jason
Hendricks, a contributor / friend of ours / all around supporter of FiveRoundMMA. So yeah, good looking out, Jason. Good pick too. So Guillermo, we'll start with you. Then we'll go to rebuttal to Albert because he's a Machida diehard here. Luke Rockhold.
He looked amazing. But before I get into Luke Rockhold, what was your guys' thoughts on DC doing commentating and being down the cage? I thought that was very unprofessional.
Yeah, I don't like how the UFC allowed that. I mean, he pick one. I know that's his boy, but get Cain Velasquez on there, Yeah,
I know. So that a little grinds my gear.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look.
I was really impressed by Luke Rockhold. I mean, he destroyed Machida. I mean, like, who does this to Lyoto Machida? Nobody does this to him. That's why it's even more impressive. Luke, I hate to say this, Albert, but the puzzle has been solved, dude. Constant pressure. That's all you have to do on a counterattacker. You don't give him a chance to counterattack.
Yeah,
that's what it really felt like. He was just like on him, and after that, you could tell that all it takes.
I think it was
one good punch.
No, it was that elbow at the end of the first round that he was done already. Because when he got up, he was like, "Well, I don't know what's going on." May have been the back of the head, but hey, again, I'm no referee, not my job. But it looked a little behind the ear a little bit. But no, what do I know?
The first thing I would like to say is I really hope the Gracie brothers do a Gracie breakdown on this fight, because I would really like to see what they have to say about Lyoto Machida, especially since he's a student of the Gracie brothers, and so I really want to see what they said he could have done, what they saw was a big error, because since he is a student of them, I want to really see what they say about it, because I had issues with the way I saw his ground game, and Joe Rogan, that son of a gun, was really tearing him apart with the ground game as well. If you're listening to his commentary, so I would love to see what they have to say about that. I think that'll be very interesting, and I think that would help me sleep at night as well.
I think like Machida, they should try some good rolls, try to roll out. But I think Rockhold was so big that you roll this way, I'm still there. You roll that way, I'm still on top of you. It's just like he looked like a midget compared to a little person.
We were talking before the show, me and Alex, and this is the crazy part to me. Machida is only like 2 inches shorter than Luke Rockhold. His reach is only like an inch shorter. So theoretically, he shouldn't have looked that small. And Machida, from the very beginning, that was the first thing that was kind of like where the yellow flag kind of went out, and I was like, whoa, Machida looks a little bit too small. Maybe it could just be that Luke Rockhold's that big.
Yeah.
But he did not look his frame did not look the frame that I'm used to seeing Machida in.
Well, he said he tried to put on like at least 5 pounds of muscle for this fight.
That's what's crazy because I saw him weight training in social media, but he looked too small, and I don't know if the weight finally got to him or he just finally gave up on the weight. Is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know.
I think he looked great. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I mean, physically, yeah.
I think one of the advantages he had at light heavyweight is that he seemed lighter than everybody else, while everybody was tiring out. He was just getting stronger. But if you remember
him on some of the other fights, even with Chris Weidman, he didn't look that small.
It just sounds like you guys are giving excuses to
when
Luke Rockhold destroyed the Dragon. So let's move on. Good job, Jason Hendricks, on calling that one.
And that's the one thing I do want to bring up. That before I never knew really how much steroids and TRT and hormones, whatever you want to call it. I didn't know it really made that big of a difference. But I think this is a clear marker how big of a difference it could be to a person. Because Luke Rockhold...
You're calling out Vitor Belfort. Just say it.
No, that's
why you tried to tiptoe around it?
I'm not tiptoeing around because Luke Rockhold looked amazing. Yeah. And everyone knew he was amazing. But after the Vitor fight, because that was his introduction to UFC, people be like, dude, Luke Rockhold wasn't that good.
He's a Strikeforce champion, of course.
He's a Strikeforce, and everyone kept saying that, and then I was like, no, Luke Rockhold's legit, guys. I've seen him fight. He's really, really good. Yeah. And it just shows you how big of a gap steroids and all that stuff really, TRT, all that stuff really is, because Vitor made him look like a kid.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of questions to be answered. We'll finally hope we get to see the real Vitor Belfort when he faces Chris Weidman, and then we'll go from there. Let's see if it's Vitor all the way or not. But stick around. I want to talk to you guys about Bellator MMA, and should the UFC be worried about Penn's going wild over in Bellator, signing contracts left and right. So stick around, guys. We are back. Thanks for sticking around. Before we begin this next segment, I want to thank all of our sponsors. Start with Rock and Green eco-friendly cleaning products, 5 Rounds clothing, which Albert is wearing here, and of course the RMA Foundation, Redemption Martial Arts. Without them, this show would not be possible. So, Bellator MMA was pretty busy this week with free agent signings, handing out contracts left and right. 2 major ones was former UFC light heavyweight top 10. Was he top 10, right? Phil Davis?
Yes, he was.
Phil Davis.
He is at one point the #1 contender.
Phil Davis signed to Bellator MMA, and also on Friday trying to steal some of the weigh-ins thunder from UFC on Fox. They signed RFA champion Justin Lawrence,
who we were just talking about
last week.
Coincidence? I don't know.
All coincidence too. I think isn't there a San Diego connection between Phil Davis, right?
Yeah.
Alliance
MMA,
and then RFA champion Justin Lawrence is product of Dominic Cruz. So there you go, Alliance. So big question: should the UFC be worried about Bellator stealing some prospects from free agents?
Can I answer your question with another question?
Go for it.
Go for it. I'll have an answer for you.
Was Vince McMahon worried when Eric Bischoff started purchasing all his fighters, old and new?
No,
I don't think so.
No, I don't.
I've seen every Monday.
Of course,
I've seen every Monday Night War.
Yeah, and what ended up happening? Well, he was in deep trouble within a year.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think is happening. I think Danny White's trying to push this under the table. Whatever. They signed Phil Davis, and then he's going to bash him like he bashes every other fighter because he's not his fighter
anymore.
And then Justin Lawrence, he didn't even win tough enough or whatever, and he's going to brush it off again and watch slowly but surely. In a year from now, he's going to be in big trouble because his stars are pretty much fizzling out. He can't even get Rampage on a card. So
that's because of Bellator.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm saying, though.
So, Guillermo, do you agree with Albert's assessment?
No, just before we leave the Rampage thing, he was so confident. He was already showing the promotion. He was already bugged. He wasn't even worried about this. And what happened? He ain't fighting. I'll tell you that much.
Got an injunction. So, Bellator's moves? Do you like it? Do you like the aggressiveness?
Well, I love it, but this was just a little
blip on the radar.
Yeah, a little bleep in the radar. Nothing major.
Wow.
Not UFC has.
Really, Vince?
Which one? Both of them, or just Phil Davis or Justin Lawrence?
Both of them. It doesn't really matter. The UFC still has the best stars in all MMA. Let's be honest. No, so they don't have to worry about that. Now, if they start losing more, then I'll be a little bit more concerned. But this is nothing. This is just a little bleep in the radar. What I am really mad about is that I totally agree with what Phil Davis did. Not about the money. Forget the money. He was disrespected. You have Lyoto Machida, who was just a champion. You defeat him. You're promised the title shot, #1 contender, and yet you get overlooked by all these guys. If I'm a fighter, I'm gonna be straight up. Hey, what's going on? How many guys do I have to beat? Rashad Evans not available. He felt disrespected. If I felt disrespected and the money's there at a different company, I'm gonna jump on it the first opportunity I get. I will be world champion because I'm gonna be respected. That's what it felt like. I 100% agree with Phil Davis, and I really hope that the UFC learns from this, because a lot of people that get disrespected in the UFC should do the exact same thing.
Now there's a viable option, right? A viable option for Bellator.
And then that's when Dana White should worry. And, you know.
Well, I think Gilbert Melendez almost did it. Remember? Reports a while ago, like, oh, I want my title shot. I'm going to go to Bellator. It was like super close to, if you believe reports, he was like super close to signing with Bellator.
But that I feel like that one was more of pressure for money. Because look at Gilbert Melendez. He got title shot. He got his own spot on UFC. On you know the analyzing.
Yeah, and he was on Tough too. Coach Tough.
Coach Tough. Phil Davis got none of this. None of this. So at one point had just beaten Lyoto Machida, promised a title shot, and got nothing. Yeah, but disrespect.
So for me, I'm not too worried about the Phil Davis one, because obviously
that's what I'm saying. I'm not worried at
all.
Top
10, but kind of a decision guy, almost like the lines of John Finch, right? Didn't really catch with the imaginations of any fans. So I mean, okay, you have your wrestler, take him, whatever. But the Justin Lawrence one is super intriguing to me, because he went to the RFA, and the RFA, as we know, was an unofficial feeder league to the UFC.
But you said it unofficial.
I know, but like, this is how many times we've seen a guy go from RFA back and forth to the UFC, and it's kind of a handshake agreement between two organizations. So this is kind of like now Bellator plucking the farm system of the UFC.
Well, they're free agents.
I know, but I mean, because like it's kind of this is the first one. This is kind of okay. Let's just say we'll harp on every organizations on Access TV, and we'll see this guy. This guy will pick him up before even UFC even sniffs him around. So if that's do you like that better, Albert? Than do that?
Have you ever heard of a team called the A's? And then have you ever heard of the New York Yankees?
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
It's funny now it's flipped around. So I don't know what you're gonna say.
Who became more popular during that era, and who had the better players? That's what I'm trying to say.
Who has 26 championships? I mean, it makes no sense.
So it's like Moneyball versus. Are we seeing?
All I'm saying
that's a little bit different.
Are we seeing analytics here in MMA?
All I'm saying is this is a very
good eye for talent.
This is a very strategized move, because in the light heavyweight division, it's kind of fizzling out for Bellator.
Yeah.
As far as having contenders there, and Phil Davis gives them a new fresh breath there. Justin Lawrence is filling up a big division that at one point was pretty stacked, but it's kind of running out of people to defend. So just Lawrence brings another interesting. So I think this is a very strategic move here, and I really do think that Bellator this is just the start. I think they're just kind of throwing out feelers here, because they didn't just pick a bunch of nobodies. I think these are people they really didn't need it and were help. But it's feelers to see where they're at as far as who can we sign, who do you think will come to Bellator, and I think this is a very positive note. And I tell you, a year from now, we're going to be talking a different story about Bellator.
Well, I mean, as long as the fighters have more options to fight and get paid,
yes.
I think we're all for that, right?
And I think
fighters, get paid, guys.
I think fighters are in a point where they'd rather get paid than worry about reputation, worry about as far as where they stand, as far as the best guy in the world. I think now it's all about the money.
And I know too. It's probably this is a longer conversation. I know we're gonna wrap up right now, but I mean the whole Reebok deal. Maybe that's kind of like, okay, well, why am I gonna go there and get the pennies left over from the Chris Weidmans and the Ronda Rouseys, the Cain Velasquez? They're getting the big chunk of it. We'll get the scraps. Why not go to Bellator where I can get my own sponsors and still get paid?
Your boy Brandon Schwab already said that. Schwab. He said that he almost didn't make nothing in sponsorship deals in his last fight because of the Reebok deal. So he said he made more in his podcast than he did in his sponsorship.
Fighter and the Kid making that much money, really?
That's what they said. That's what he said.
Well, they have sponsors.
That's what he said.
We have sponsors too. Great sponsors.
Great, even better. Right?
No, but the sponsors.
UFC.
UFC.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we're working on getting a UFC fighter in here, guys. So don't worry. So that's it for today. Obviously, that's a bigger conversation for another time. I want to thank all of our listeners. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FiveRoundMMA. Like us on Facebook. I said that right? Subscribe to us on iTunes,
like us
YouTube, Podomac, and please check out FiveRoundMMA.com and also SpectrumVita.com. I think that's it there.
Yeah.
You have anything else? No?
No. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Our executive producer here, Machida. And to tell you the truth, if you're not going to check out Extreme Rules, don't.
When is it? The next weekend?
Yeah, there's no reason to check it out. So thanks.
Watch some Macho Man on the network.
Oh yeah, the cream of the crop.